Welcome back, guys. Welcome back on my channel. I'm Ziggy. If you've never been on this channel before, my name is Ziggy and I'm tutoring for like 9-10 years now, somewhere around there. There was little gaps here and there. So what we're doing today is, this is how far I've done. This is my customer. She booked in for this Thursday, if I'm not wrong. What she wants is full all around here. Peonies, little details on that. She asked me to draw my peonies because she likes the way I do them. And in this video, what we need to do is, we need to find a design. We need to design something what goes from about there all the way till, she said, about thirds. So something what sits there, maybe from like here, and then small stuff could go there. So this is our play area today. And in this video, I'm gonna try to explain to you how I draw peonies, how I get started, how I finish them, what goes in there, where you need to pay attention, how we design for that kind of area. Stay tuned and let's get some drawing done. So what I'm gonna do is, because that's gonna be on A4, I'm literally gonna select a new A4 and voila, that's there. So imagine if you look on the body from the top, it would look most likely, this would be the shoulder area. Then you have the back going, arm goes there from the shoulder, there's the arm about there, there's the collarbone, neck would sit around here, so her neck goes up and that's where her chest starts. You kind of get the idea. What we need to do is get the design. Let's draw a new layer. A design, let's pick a new color, pink, purple, one of those. So we need design what sits in this area. And because she wanted like quarter of a third of the sleeve, we only have this much to do. That would be our shape, what we are aiming for today. So if I get rid of the body, because I don't really need anymore, and we take this size and the shape of the design, this is the shape where we need to get our design ready. What I like to do is, I like to draw with red. I'll pick the red. Let's take Desaturate, this one, because I just barely need to see the shape. I need to see more the lines I'm pulling as the new ones. I'll take new layer, so we're gonna draw on top of it. And then I like to roughly sketch out some circles where the flowers will sit and could sit. What I'm thinking is probably in the middle, banging on the shoulder, on top of the shoulder. I'm gonna draw the main flower, the biggest one. Then this will be where her neck goes. I'll start doing something a bit smaller, and that could easily hide a little bit behind that main flower. I could do one smaller one around here. This one, I reckon I'm gonna draw, so you would see kind of from top of it. So this is gonna be the middle. It's that where the flowers goes to the middle. This is gonna be in that kind of middle, and this is gonna be looking downwards, let's say that, and the petal is gonna go that way. This is the middle. So if this is the bud, imagine the stem is about here, it's underneath. This will be the top, the stem is underneath. So whatever line comes out, it would come that way. You get me, yeah? It comes from underneath there, it's not from here, nothing starts from there. It's the middle of the flower that way. I know it's hard to understand, but stay with me. This is the middle, and every petal comes out from there. Same with this one. So imagine you split down half, that would be the center. The center goes down, and the same, this would be the area where the stem comes down, but there's no stems, you can't see it. So that's the middle, and whatever comes out comes from there. It's the petal shape, comes out from there. Imagine if you have a cup in your hand. The middle is inside the circle, the middle downwards. So this is the cup, and imagine the cup's middle is where the stem grows, and it comes out on the cup's sides. Does that make sense? Yeah. And what you do is you kind of play around with the shapes in your head as it goes. And let's say this is one petal. That looks pretty good already. And then the next one comes out, and then you're gonna go there. Voila, we got 2 petals now. And then the third one, let's say we're gonna overlap this one a little bit, so you kind of stole a little bit of spotlight. Voila. And then you just keep adding new layers and new layers and new layers of the petals till it shrinks down to the middle, closer and closer and closer, and gets smaller because those ones are more tucked in into each other. See what I'm doing there? It's pretty simple. But now, at this moment, we just need to play with the shapes. We don't need to make any hard decisions. Just playing with the shapes, trying to get the idea, trying to like place it out where it could sit. And so let's say I don't like the clean cut, it looks a bit weird. So I need to get some petals who came up, but they don't go to the top. They bore not to the top, but like a bit hangs down, a bit open. Maybe nature abused a little bit. And say they would be like somewhere there. Just like half open. They come from here, go there. Boom, 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 boom. Just play around. Don't really get frustrated as it doesn't look like perfect now, because we don't need. We're gonna line it perfect later on, but now we need to find the general shape of the peonies, how they would sit, what they would do, how the placement would look like. Same with this one. This was the middle. Remember, imagine this is the cup. Or in the previous video I kind of explained about orange, how orange has the bottom underneath and then it would bend over, and so it bends over, and let's say it makes a couple of wobbles here and a couple of wobbles there and there, and then you get the idea of the shapes you want them to be, because you don't get frustrated now about the shapes. We're gonna change it, we're gonna place around. Now we need to just plan out a quick sketch where what could sit. See, it comes out from there, that's the bottom, and then the top goes back inside to the middle, so it makes that kind of shape. Or it comes out, same again, makes some wobble and goes back to the middle, and that's pretty much, you just repeat. Comes out, goes back to the middle, comes out from the middle, makes some wobbles, goes back to the middle, and then you just keep doing that on a circle. Once you're gonna learn how to, don't get frustrated at the first go, because you will try to rub some lines out, you'll try to play around with the shape to see what you like more. You, in this style, you have to just let it go, let it sit where it does, because it's nature. Flowers comes from nature and they just there, and there's no right or wrong. It's just different flower. And even the flowers who will grow next to each other, they will look identical. They wouldn't. They would still look different. Every petal would be totally different. The same flower, but still, it would be looking way different than it does. So you can understand where I'm going with this, innit? Let's say I scrap that, I don't like that one. Let's say maybe one here. See, that allows us to draw over, because we don't really set on them petals as they are. And I have a feeling all these flowers, what we just made, are going to shrink them down, which is going to allow me to draw some smaller parts, smaller leaves in those little gaps. Again, not for now. Now we just need to find the general shape for the flowers as we want them to be. So when you draw, for example, the front one, the one you see the back of the petal. So you see the petal bending inwards. When you draw the opposite side, you would see the top, like the very edge of the flower. And then whatever bends here, kind of over that way, is what you see here. And then same, you repeat that kind of pattern where imagine if the petal comes from inside, and then it comes up, turns around, and it does this bend, then this is the top part, so it has this top, then it curves back in and goes down to the middle. As we discussed, there's that middle, and you just repeat them. It goes up, and then you see the other side of the petals where here they bend over and you cannot see them. So first job is literally to understand what we want where, how they would say, what they would do, where the petals go. And same exact process I would do on a paper. If I wouldn't use my iPad, I would draw with 4H, which is my favorite pencil. When it comes to pencils, I would draw with 4H, scratch really thin lines, play around, find the image I really like, and 4H allows you to draw really thin. And if you want to make any adjustments, it's really easy to maybe push a little bit harder, and it's gonna leave you a bit darker lines, and that allows you to sketch it first before you pull heavy lines, which most people do all the time. They get frustrated, they put really heavy line, and then they get frustrated again because they can't not delete that line, and then you get disappointment. Where in reality, what you should have done is you should have really picked really thin lines, like I did with this one, really light, really thin, so you can barely see and they don't bother you. That's like 90% of every single person what I see online. They go in too early, too heavy. They don't want to have this moment where they plan out where and what gonna say, how it's gonna flow, what this part gonna do, what that part gonna do. They have no idea, they haven't planned it yet, but they already pulled the heavy bold lines, and then they realize it's not the way, I don't like it, and then they want to throw in a bin, and you just wasted 40 minutes, and you don't want to spend again 40 minutes to get the frustration feeling, so you quit. Why would you do that to yourself? So here we are really close to be line sketched. This is the moment I will probably take that tool and I'm gonna shrink it down, keeping still in the middle, but this will be the shoulder part. So I want this flower to be a little bit higher rather than lower on the shoulder, somewhere a little bit higher here, which here allows to do some small stuff. And because she said she wants to wear some V-lined clothing, we can't go too far on her neck, which she doesn't really want, so we're not gonna go too far that way, so I can have more here. So I'm not gonna do any crazy small details in this area because of what she requested. When we get to this part, so we have planned, we kind of like where we see, what we see, and I forgot to shrink down to the size I wanted. So let's say I reckon that area is quite good. It still allows me to do quite small flowers around it, fill up the little gaps, make it more girly, add more detail. Even if it's the background, you can still go crazy detail in it, and people will always appreciate that. Once I've done that, I would grab this one. This is our layer with the flowers, as you see, and I would desaturate that. I see them, but they don't bother me. Now we're gonna grab a new one, and there's gonna be our leaves. It will be the anything else except the flowers. And now we can focus on that. Now imagine how body works. You need to draw design based on how body flows. So remember the purple? Let's go back on purple and let's pick purple. So this area, let's make it maybe a little bit bolder. This area is her shoulder. This is where it goes up to the neck. This is where the neck is, and this was about where her armpit is, and arm goes down. You kind of get the idea, yeah? So when you design, this is your center. You need to make your leaves flow with your body and your tattoo flow with the body. As you see, if this is a middle line, my design is perfectly in the middle. What we need to do is literally flow with the body, so you don't do leaves what goes reverse, or it could go across, but still way better is when it does flow with the body, when the tattoo and the body is one subject, one piece. They belong there, they're meant to be there, it becomes one. Imagine this is the middle, so what does this area do? It goes down to the arm, and this area goes down to the arm, that goes to the armpit, that goes also to the armpit. See what I mean? It kind of shapes it. And if we follow our leaves as these lines go, when you stencil it and when you put it on, it's gonna sit perfect. For that reason, when you have sternum pieces, when there's female breast there, that design has to flow with it. I've seen loads of mistakes where people have, let's say the breast is like that, and they have a tattoo design here, and literally all this is totally empty area, and that is a really bad mistake. That person doesn't know what is he doing. So if this is a center, what you have to do is literally your body tells you what it needs to do. When you have design like that, what flows perfect, beautiful, that is meant to be there, that is for that person. But if you do something totally like even if it's a small one, you still got weird gap there. Why can't people just follow the body? And it looks better. It looks like it's meant to be there, like it's designed for that person, not just stolen from Google and put on them, and then they feel like they won't say anything because they have a tattoo ink on them, and to remove it, it's really complicated. But they won't be happy, you know, and they're gonna see that mistake themselves because they're not blind as a person, as a human being. So if you follow the body literally tells you exactly what to do. That's that, literally middle, and your body goes that way, I didn't even know how I did that. That's our map. Let's desaturate this one so we get less, we can see it but not as much. Then the layer of spray, that's going to be our leaves. I can see the shape I'm doing. Let's pick a red. I like to draw with the red. And now we can concentrate on all the smaller parts. Let's make the brush a little bit smaller because I made it big to show you that. And let's about there. All I need to do is literally follow those lines. And when I'm going to put the stencil on her, the lines will just bend and complement her tattoo. The lines will, the leaves won't go just randomly there. See what I mean? It looks just out. It's not supposed to be there. It's not meant to be there. As that goes there, we literally just follow. Simple. Like, you don't have to invent something new, something totally like unexpected or anything like that. You follow the body tells you I want this here, and you just okay, I'll do it. So at this moment we need to do exactly as we did for the flowers. We play with the idea, we sit some flowers, put some leaves just to see how it looks, how it sits there, what else needs to be added, where we run into empty holes, empty gaps. Don't get really, again, frustrated about if something doesn't sit there and there. This is like a practice, like a training where you find out what works, what doesn't work. If you don't like something, you get rid of it, start new. That is the procedure to go through to have a perfect design. What I'm gonna do most likely is I'll go back on the first design what I showed you on hers. I will have a look more how I did the leaves. I want the leaves to match. You can't have half tattoo with one kind of leaves and half with other just because you thought like it. It's one tattoo, one story, one little meaning, and the whole thing needs to be kind of equal. What we don't want to do is, see, this is like the armpit area, and I don't want to put anything heavy and big into the armpit because it's really painful, and it's the area where it bends around. So we need to concentrate more on that area and that area, and less on the armpit. So I kind of like how this sits. Now we're gonna go back on this, on the design what we did for her already, and have a look how we did the leaves. So I did them straight and in, and then few leaves there with quite long stems here and there. So I need to remember that, and I did these little ones there. If we go back, where are we? There. If we go back, now I can add some of them. So I remember I did have, see that flows in there. This one needs to flow downwards because now it goes down by the arm. Imagine when you put the flowers on human body, what it would do? It would flow in that specific order as nature do. Gravity pulls down, and you can, but you can't really draw against the gravity. It would naturally does that. And second, you need to draw to complement her, not to make her wear whatever tattoo you designed for her. You need to complement her body because she's in your place to look awesome. So you need to make her look awesome. Look at that, it's getting there. I didn't do these, I did more, a little bit fatter, wider leaves. Maybe I can have little ones here. Some of them may be, because the next design I'm going to sit here about this area, some of them maybe I won't even do, but I still need to design them just in case if they sit in a place where I can still then do. So wherever you run into a place where you have to design a design what could sit right next to it, or in case overlap each other, best thing is to do is to design fully both designs, and so if it moves close, overlaps, or goes more overlap, you still have the line work for all of that, and you're always prepared. Even if I would have a design what would go here, I would still design the whole flower, all this, in case if it sits there suddenly. You didn't really, maybe you measure, maybe it looked like it sat really nice, but turns out you maybe have a tattoo what goes here, and you need to match this really close and still keep it that way. And if you design only that far and that finishes that far, you have to like freehand this, you run into problems. It might not be flowers, but it might be a different tattoo. Best is to design the whole design and then place it and then see what goes. What mostly people do, let's say if you have a tattoo here and if you got it here, like that. Imagine all this is done by somebody else and you need to squeeze into this gap. What people do is they only put the stencil stuff, literally only the stencil stuff in this area, like that. And then when you put the stencil, none of this will stick to the person. The stencil won't stick it. You're only gonna stick where the stencil cream was applied, which means you don't have any blue lines running on those tattoos, those sides, and it could not. You don't need to worry about like messing up your design or the picture in the end when you finish it. So a lot of people only apply stencil stuff where you need it, not everywhere, and then you still got some blue lines running here and blue lines running there, and you can't wash them off when you take a photo. It looks dirty, it doesn't look clean and professional, it just looks dirty, and that's because you apply the cream where that not supposed to be. That's there as a tip for the future. So let's get back to where we started. Done. What I'm gonna do now is I will desaturate this one as well to the level as the flowers are, and just about there. Then what I like to do is merge the leaves with that. The reason I kept them separate is because just in case, let's say I don't want this leaf, I can wipe it off. You know what I mean? That's what the reason I didn't merge them into, I didn't draw the leaves on top of in the same layer as the flowers. If I change my mind into leaves, I don't need to like really pay close attention to delete the leaves. I can just get it off, and it allows me to play around. Like, let's say I want to make it a little bit bigger, I can do it, or I can bend them where I want them, and it allows me to do it. So it gives you a lot of benefit when you keep every subject you draw on separate layer, and that is a good habit to go into in the future because it's really beneficial for future drawings. It's a good skill and a good habit to get into. So what we need to do, go back, desaturate. If you go on there, so I get both in the same kind of layer, and now I'm gonna merge down. So what happened is these two layers, the flowers and the leaves, are now in the same layer, and they're there. Because I kind of like the way they sit, the way they design, the way that design looks like, and it's nice flow. It looks like it's in a movement, something happens, but they're still nice pretty flowers, and it gives me a nice baseline to follow the design. The part now where we are is I need to make a new layer. So now at this moment I'll start to pull some black lines. I kind of like the way it is. I think it's workable. I can see everything where what sits. I'm pretty confident that I can start pull some real lines, black lines, based on this sketch what we just did. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start with, I don't know if you can see that, it's basically new layer. I'm gonna rename that into real lines. I like it. And now at this moment I'm literally gonna pick a black ink and I'm gonna start lining. What I like to do is, let's get the camera on it. So if you go on settings here, I use technical pen, and then where's Streamline, basically this one cleans after you. Let's say you keep it as it is and you want to pull some lines. They clean, but they're not as clean as, I don't know how to explain it. They're still a bit wobbly, and not always you get the perfect result from it. And it's a good training. I've done sometimes on purpose, really, like I've done loads of drawings with really minimum of streamlining or my arm correcting, just so I can get used to draw really clean lines. I purposely push myself to draw clean lines, but there are some moments you don't want that, so you get technical pen settings, and this one will clean after me, which will not allow me to make wobbly lines. All lines will be clean, smooth, perfect, and I want that now. So now I can literally pull any line, let's say that one, and it's there. I probably won't go that big, but I know I try to explain to you what do I mean. See what I mean? It looks way cleaner than it was before. Maybe before it looked cleaner, but now you can understand what I mean by cleaning after you. Let's say I want to make a little wobble. Look at that, beautiful. And Procreate, that setting allows you to draw really clean, and you don't have to like, oh fucking hell. Sometimes it's nice to have clean line work training, but some days you just want to get it through. You need to get it done. No need for training. Training goes for another days when you do have more time to train your hand. But sometimes you just need to get the stencil done, and it is what it is. And for that, this setting is brilliant. So let's say I'm gonna pick there, it'll go up, it'll gonna make a few wobbles, it'll make another one, it'll go up here, then let's make inwards, so it's gonna like overlap itself, and there will be another line in the future there, but not for now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a black line around every petal, outer lines, and once that's done, then I call them shape lines. I will add those, and it really nicely explains you what happens with the petal, how it bends, how it moves, how it sits there. What does the petal do? It can't be just flat down. You can easily like do this, and now it tells your brain it bends that way. Or I can go from middle out, and suddenly it bends that way. Or you could just pretend that now it's straight. See what I mean by shape lines? It tells your brain what happens to that petal, and that's something what we're gonna do later on. But now we're gonna turn all this into clean lines, outer lines, which gonna go through the stencil machine, and I'm pretty confident that I don't think I'm gonna do those little lines. I can do a little section to explain you what happens if you do and what happens if you don't do. The stencil machine what we use in the studio, you won't see those little lines, so I don't even bother do. I don't need to sell myself to this client because the client loves my peonies and loves my flowers, so she's into it. Sometimes you need to do those little lines so you kind of explain to your client who's maybe a little bit worried what's gonna happen, how it's gonna look, and those little shape lines really nicely explain more about that tattoo. It makes it look prettier, it makes it look more vibrant, detailed. It looks like you do pay attention what you do, you love what you do, you're passionate about it, you went that extra mile. In this case, my client doesn't need that. I've done a big piece on her side already, so this is gonna be just continuing from that. And she loves my peonies, she loves my flowers, and for this reason I'm not gonna do all these little lines. I'm gonna maybe do a little small section for you to understand more what they are, what do they do. But for now, I'll literally probably gonna put a time-lapse video. I'm gonna fly through, you're gonna see me drawing really fast. Once I get there, I'll get back to you and I'll explain that. But now, like I said, we go on settings, technical pen, Streamline on 70. I like to use 70 to 60% because I like when it makes it cleaner, but not really clean. That annoys me. And if you go smaller, it still keeps some bubbles. Sometimes you need that, but not for this case. If you draw on the paper, well, you just have to clean lines. Like there's no program what can help you. You literally have to just pull a nice clean line, and I would say that's the best way to go. But I've done all that. Now I'm here. I'm happy to be here. Let's go on time lapse. Let's fly through. I'll see you on the other side. Boom. Now I've finished all the lines as you see, and the process now is I always save image just in case, and you never know what happens. The key, or it looks like a key, then JPEG, sorry, it's key, shared image, and then you press JPEG to export, then you hit save image. So we have saved it, and it's connected to my Google Photos, and it'll go up in the cloud, so I have the access from everywhere. If I forget my iPad at home, I still got image in my Google Photos. I can go on computer in the studio, download that, and I can use it, or it'll be on my phone on Google Photos, and then I can download through my phone or do whatever I want to do. But the image is there, and it's saved, it's backed up. And I just managed to grab some photo from Google, and I'm gonna put this on that person so you can kind of see what would it look like. And this is kind of image what we are aiming for. She will have a flower section going here in this area, then there will be a little bee in the middle of the chest, and there will be more flowers underneath on that area. All that I've done, literally this design I've done already, and now was only left to do this section, this part. So that's what we did today. Now I go back and I have image here. This was a little tutorial how I get things done. If this would be on a paper, I would do exactly the same. I would probably most likely go to my missus. I would ask just to stand still. I would get A4 paper on her and I would like mark out the area. If I cannot see that in my mind, how the shape would look like, I would just go to her, put the paper on it, draw around it, see, okay, cool, I need like a little bit bent, a little bit that area. That's exactly what I would do. Then I have approximately the idea of the shape ready to go. Either light box or something like that. I would just draw on top of it. I don't know if you noticed or I didn't notice, I didn't delete a line. Nothing. All this is still here, just in case. Like if you can see, I still got all those lines for the shape. They were always there. I still had the red lines underneath, if you can see that. I didn't delete them either. Just for the sake, like, even if I go on top of the black lines and I make the final decisions there and then, I still have the purple lines underneath, still showing me the shape, where it and how it needs to be bent, where it flows, how it goes, and I still got all that underneath. And if this would be done on a paper, I would still have all the lines underneath me, really thin, really lightly done, and I would still get... Basically what would happen would be I would have pencil lines like this. I would still have pencil lines like that, and they would be scratched somewhere underneath. I would still see them, but I would still do on top of it with fine liner, and only when I'm done with the fine liner I would only then delete all the lines underneath. I like to see them. What was it before? What was I thinking? What was I planning? I didn't delete any line. And only when I would finish all with the fine liner, only then I would take eraser and delete all the lines. And same tactic I do exactly when I draw an iPad. I always keep the lines underneath. Still now, this moment, there's lines underneath it. If I need it, I can go back to it, I can add, I can play around, blah, blah, blah. This is a little tutorial how I would do. I purposely left little corners like this. The thing about them is they're gonna be filled in black. Once you do like, let's say if you're on the same layer, when I will tattoo them, I will fill them with the black. Just, it gives the depth, it gives the contrast, it shows that it goes really deep and it gets dark, and it gives that in feeling. I don't know how to explain it, but it just really shows to the brain when you look at it, it's inside, it's bent in, it gives a little bit more depth to it. Of course it's gonna be more shaded. I'll add some more shading lines to it, but in a sense still I like to keep them like little corners, little gaps. I fill them in with black. It helps to get all the depth feeling. I don't like when my designs look really flat and boring. I like when they give a lot of shape, a lot of depth, a lot of high contrast, and a lot of light and a lot of dark. I hope this video really helped you. I hope you learned something new, and if you did, then don't be shy and you can drop a like, or if you got a suggestion for the next video, you can easily do that in the comment section right underneath. This tattoo will be done on Thursday, so by Friday and Saturday is gonna be my Instagram. So if you wanna see the end result, it's gonna be on my Instagram. If you watch this video later on, so you can still find on Instagram. And on my Facebook page, well, I'm gonna probably drop a link on my Instagram underneath here. And thank you very much, guys. I'll see you on the next video, and drop more suggestions what I should draw. I have a list of things you have suggested. They haven't popped up in my client list suggestions what they come into booking, but if they will, I'll drop a video of using your question on that video. This is another video how to draw peonies, and this is how I do them. I hope you learned a lot, and thank you very much, guys. See you on the next video. Take care.